Hello everyone, and welcome to All Routes Considered. We are a podcast brought to you by the A2B Global Media Transport and News Network, and we're going to come to you probably once every month or so, once we figure out an actual schedule. We're going to discuss some of the biggest and most important trending topics in the transport and news industry, bring you our opinions, maybe guests. Who knows? We'll figure it out as we go along. And so my name is Joey Stote, and I'll be your host for all these things, at least when I don't have anything better to do, like making stew. And to my left is the wonderful Tiana May, our principal journalist and a big fan of cats, because it has to be mentioned.
It's part of my personality.
Yeah, so Tiana, how are you? Tell me about you.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, like I said, big fan of cats. I have a foster cat called Sheba at the moment. So yeah, looking forward to getting home to her later after talking all things transport with you.
Yeah. So this is going to be a bit of an experiment. We'll see how it goes. All routes are considered. We're going to be talking about rail, we're going to talk about bus, we're going to talk about airport. So we're going to bring you some of the biggest highlights of, the recent period, and usually with each episode we're going to talk about one of the biggest trending topics in the industry. But we'll come to that. First off, Tiana.
Yeah.
Coach services are getting bigger.
Certainly in the UK, yeah. We're always getting news from Flixbus, National Express, big operators like that. Just this week, Flixbus announced a new partnership with a Cardiff-based operator, and they've expanded their partnership with Excelsior in the south of England. They're based in Dorset, I think. So hopefully lots of new routes coming from them. Obviously, they've not operated in the UK for long, but constantly expanding, constantly having more and more frequency there. Meanwhile, National Express are reporting positive numbers. I think they've just said they had an awesome January, up 38% in Brighton in passenger journeys. So people are taking the coach. I don't know whether that's a reflection on people feeling like it's more reliable than rail, they're more likely to get a seat, or whether it's people choosing to do so instead of taking the car. That would be interesting to know where the increase in demand for coach services is coming from. Yeah, it does seem to have sort of really boomed in the last few months, hasn't it? I mean, we get reports through all the time about higher passenger numbers, and I mean, it seems like companies are doing quite a lot to enforce this, or there's a lot of good offers. Like National Express, they did their kids go free. Yeah, that's true.
For quite a long time. Obviously, we just had Christmas. Christmas was not too long ago.
It feels like it was, yeah.
It feels like January, the wettest year of our lives. But I mean, Christmas, all the coach operators are operating, or pretty much all the way through, all your major ones anyway. Like, you had a couple in Stoke, not offering services, but otherwise, I mean, it seems like coach travel, is it becoming more affordable? Is it becoming more frequent? It would seem.
So obviously rail prices aren't affordable for everyone, and not everyone wants to or can drive themselves. I think the coach is kind of the budget option. I think if coach prices were to keep creeping up, I think there'd be less of an appeal. I think the price is a big impact when it comes to taking the coach.
Yeah.
But there are other benefits too. You get to stick your luggage underneath.
I mean, like you said, the dedicated seats, I think, is a really big boon.
I've stood on a train a few times recently. Yeah.
Over in Canada, we have a new rail transit line.
Yes, yeah. Always like a new line opening up. And I think in urban settings like that, so I think it's Toronto, they've just opened a new light rail line, Line 5 Eglinton, I think it's called. Those kind of things I think are appealing rather than taking a bus. I think people are more likely to take public transport in urban settings if they're like, oh, I can hop on a train or a tram. That feels more reliable to people than waiting for a bus that might get stuck in traffic with cars and that kind of thing. So I think new rail lines are really important for helping to push people towards public transport. So that's a big positive, and looking forward to ridership numbers and stuff coming through from there and seeing who's riding it, because that Toronto area is doing so much in terms of expanding their rail network. They've got several extensions happening in Toronto and Scarborough, and that kind of thing really opening up the reach of its rail network. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So of course, over in the UK, what was it? It was yesterday as we record this. The government has announced that the minimum age of train drivers will be coming down from 20 to 18.
Yes, which I think is quite important in terms of, obviously, that's when people leave school. So that's often when people decide on their career. So I think with it being 20 before, if you leave school at 18, you're not sure what you want to do, train driving isn't an option. So you're not going to decide to become a train driver. You're going to go and look at what jobs you can do. And by that point, then when you turn 20, you've already started this other job and you're on a different career path. So I think it'll be really helpful for them having it now at school leaver age to really open up finding train drivers. Several countries have similar issues with bus drivers as well. And I'd say we hear more often about shortages in the bus industry than the train industry.
Yeah.
And I think, the bus industry could maybe do with following suit in places where you can't drive a bus at 18.
Well, no, I mean, it makes sense because it seems like we're sort of moving into a more sort of apprenticeship sort of based model in this country. I mean, as far as when we went to university, there was a bigger drive for universities done, but I think now people are taking another look at it, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that's good because I don't think there is value in just everyone going to university, then finishing university and not knowing what to do.
Yeah. No, so I mean, with that said, we move on to the meat of this particular podcast, pie, if you like.
Yeah, we can be a pie.
Vegetarian. Doesn't eat meat.
Oh, and when you said pie, I was thinking like coconut cream pie, or like I was thinking like a dessert. Coconut cream pie is what came to my head.
Well, I know what I'm looking up as soon as we get out of...
You know what coconut cream pie
I've
is?
never heard of a coconut cream... What is a coconut cream pie?
I'll bake you one, Joey.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Quite recently, we had what is something of a revival of the Northern Powerhouse Rail project, which initially introduced in 2014. It was a project that was itself born from a plan to improve rail journey times in Northern England. And basically the way it was going to do that was it was going to create a new high-speed rail line from Liverpool to Warrington that would then join onto what was going, the HS2 tunnel.
Okay, yeah.
Which it would share into Manchester Piccadilly. The line then would have continued on to Leeds with a stop at Bradford, making it the region's biggest single transport investment since the Industrial Revolution. So big business.
Yeah, really big.
Had it gone ahead. However, the problem is, in 2021, old Boris Johnson, his integrated rail plan, scaled it back massively, and then it would just be consisting of a partial new line and upgrades to existing parts of the network. So we lost the possibility of having a new full high-speed rail network. Then in 2023, good old Rishi Sunak cancelled the second phase of HS2. And then, which led the government to reconfirm NPR, but with revisions. So since then, it's been very quiet. We've not really heard much about it, but last month, the government confirmed plans that there had been discussions to construct a new rail route between Liverpool and Manchester via Manchester Airport and Warrington. So effectively reviving the project.
That's certainly how they're framing it, a big revival.
Yeah.
Northern Powerhouse Rail's back.
Yeah. Really, the question is sort of, why was it cancelled in the first place?
Yeah, certainly maybe it'd been better not to cancel it in the first place rather than go through this kind of we're having it, we're not having it. I think certainly with this project in particular, there was never a big cancellation announcement like there was with HS2 as such. It kind of was just so slowly scaled back until it kind of just didn't exist anymore. And they kind of cancelled it on the sly in that sense compared to, say, the eastern leg of HS2 where they were like, the government's cancelled it and it was kind of big news. Whereas with Northern Powerhouse Rail, they just kind of ran out of money, changed the scale a little bit, and certainly they cited rising costs as a big reason why they didn't deliver it. And then, like you said, the cancellation of that eastern leg of HS2 kind of took away a big core component of what it would have been. And that remains the case now, despite them saying they're going to deliver it. It's not going to be the same scale of a rail network for the north because it's not going to have this major leg of HS2 that would have really changed the scope of it. The government obviously then have insisted on focusing on upgrades to the infrastructure we've got and things like that rather than building new lines, which they say is better value for money. I don't fully disagree with that. I think it is really important to focus on making sure the infrastructure we've got is performing as it should be, because otherwise people aren't going to trust rail as a concept. And I think that's often, it's a problem we see as journalists as well. People like the big headlines of a new rail line's going to be built between A and B compared to, oh, look, we're going to upgrade the track on the rail line between X and Y. It's just not as exciting. People like these big, shiny new projects, but it is really important to upgrade and maintain what we've got for sure. Obviously, though, delays, backtracks and stuff always adds cost.
Yeah, of course.
if we'd just delivered it back when we said we were going to, presumably it would have been cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very surprised if they managed to deliver it cheaper than what they claimed, way back. So yeah, we'll see. I think, obviously with Rishi Sunak's Network North plan that you mentioned as well, that again is focusing more on maintaining what we've got. It also split the money between rail upgrades and road upgrades, which I think is a bit of a shame when we went from, okay, this is going to be a dedicated rail network for the north, to now, okay, we're still spending the money up north, we're still levelling up, but we're spending it on roads as well. That kind of undermines the kind of climate targets and the modal shift targets that I think are quite important, and I think a dedicated rail network for the north would have delivered. And I don't think the Network North plan is delivering that. So I'd like to see this Northern Powerhouse Rail plan deliver that, I guess.
I guess the question is, will it be delivered?
That to me is the big question. Obviously they framed it as this multi-stage build out. They're not projecting for major construction to start there until like 2030s into 2040. So it's such a big question of, will it be delivered? At the moment, the only real commitment we've got is that this 1.1 billion British pounds has been allocated for planning and design and kind of early development work. So that is concrete action that I guess will be delivered, but obviously development work doesn't then mean delivery of this big rail line. And this drawn out timeline concerns me. Like, if we really wanted to deliver it, let's get onto it. Like we were saying earlier, delays adds cost. Obviously, the UK's also likely to go through government changes between now and 2030, 2040. So it's all very well this current government saying, yes, we're going to deliver it. And then the next government can come in and be like, well, I've not got £45 billion to deliver it. You never had £45 billion to deliver it.
And with the way it's looking like our country is going currently, it could be dead in the water before it even has a chance to reach any kind of planning phase, really.
And this project's already gone through its initial announcement, scaling back, effective cancellation, and now revival. So I'd say public trust for it is already pretty low. So I would be surprised if businesses and stuff are going to invest along the route with confidence that it will be delivered. I think people will believe it when they see it. Because, like you say, who knows who the next government's going to be and whether they will deliver on it.
Because Andy Burnham's going to be heavily involved.
So
ongoing.
I think these northern mayors are going to be happy about it. Back in the day when it was originally proposed, Andy Burnham and Andy Street, the former mayor of the West Midlands, worked really well together on trying to deliver it. Andy Street being Conservative, Andy Burnham being Labour. So from opposing parties as such, but they really kind of cared about delivering for the Midlands and the North. Whereas now, I don't know, there's this potential that it is just a political tool to kind of appease the North, make the North happy, so that the Labour government still look good. I think there's scepticism surrounding it.
Yeah, of course, totally.
I mean, MPs have outwardly kind of said to Heidi Alexander, we don't think you have the money for this. You don't think you have the money for it, but you don't think you'll still be in power when it comes to it. In which case, this initial 1.1 billion that they have committed to is just going to be a waste of money. And it's just kind of, like you said, a political tool to make them look good as things stand. Keep the northern mayors happy.
Well, I mean, the North had the highest Labour turnout, didn't it, in the last election? So, I mean, it would make sense to focus your promises.
The Labour government want to keep the North on their side. If they think this has made them happy. But it won't make them happy if they think it's just a fake promise.
So, I mean, what about local authorities?
I mean, like you were saying, Andy Burnham is on board. Greater Manchester is a pretty major local authority when it comes to this. The government did sign an agreement with him a couple of weeks back now, which kind of made a few things a bit clearer on the role local authorities would play. And it does explicitly state that local funding is required for things like an underground Piccadilly station and then integration, onward travel and like surrounding development. So the local authorities need to be on board, and they also need to have the money, because otherwise this isn't going to be delivered. I think it's important this agreement that was signed with Andy Burnham does also name specific people with specific roles, which is good, as I think one of the problems that the project had before was a lack of governance and a lack of who's in charge where. It wasn't just a cost issue. So yeah, I think it's good that we've established certain roles. There's a joint delivery board that involves mayors and ministers, so that's a positive as well. But the funding control does remain with the Treasury and the Department for Transport, where regional bodies are partners, not owners. And yet we're going to need the money from them. So, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how much money is needed from local governments and whether they have it and where it comes from. And then also whether certain local authorities will be left out as a result of not having that money. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I don't think that's clear yet.
It's kind of all speculation, isn't it? Time will tell.
That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't have it in my head of, oh, they've announced this, therefore it's definitely happening. And I think that's kind of how everyone feels. I don't think that's just me being sceptical.
Yeah. It will all hinge on what happens in the next sort of 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it will happen?
Do I think it will happen?
Yeah.
I'm not entirely convinced.
Yeah.
I think I'd like it to happen.
Yeah, of course.
It would make total sense.
More rail lines, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it gets people out of cars. All of these things are good. Like, I see no, yes, it's going to cost a lot of money, but so does everything.
That's the thing, everything does. Yeah, like fixing roads costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So like the more cars we get off the roads, the less money we have to spend there.
Yeah.
Or,
it's a much more sustainable use of funds, I think, than a lot of the alternatives that we spend money on all the time now. It's good to have confirmation that it still exists.
Yes, it's not just been forgotten about.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's in a more reduced form now. It's more than it was when it was Network North. Again, it's sort of a broken record of a point, really. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if it can be carried through, if Labour can carry, can keep
the promise.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to. It's promise versus delivery at this point.
Yeah.
And public trust is already arguably quite low. We said we were going to deliver HS2 and we're not delivering that at all on the scale we said we would. I think in the short term, to kind of convince people it's going to happen, we need to show what we're visibly spending this 1.1 billion is a lot of money. So we need to see the visible planning work from that. Yeah. We need route options to be published and consulted on and decided, and that I think this work needs to be public, because obviously this behind the scenes work is really, really important. And so many projects have gone wrong because they've started construction too early and they've not done proper planning and design work. So although I want to see them build it maybe quicker than the timeline they're saying, I do want this planning and design work to be done properly. But I think we need to be better at making that work public and making the public see what that money has been spent on so that they believe it's then going to happen, rather than just announce that it's going to happen and then say, we're now planning for a few years, we'll get back to you in half a decade. Yeah. That doesn't fill people with the promise that it's actually going to happen. Yeah. So I think, they need to make the planning and design work visible. They need to present the route options. We need to see some sort of commitment from local authorities about the finances. And I mean, the local authorities potentially need a commitment from the government about their finances as well. Otherwise, where's this money going to come from? And then obviously we want to see some sort of legislation in the next parliament. We want to see this kind of formalised, because at the moment, obviously it's been a formal announcement by the government, but I think there's still lots of open-ended questions. And I think this question that we're discussing and asking ourselves here is, will this actually happen? I think lots of people are asking themselves that, and the government needs to realise that and address it, and help restore faith that we do care about our rail networks and care about levelling up with the North and everything like that, and then hopefully deliver on it. Yeah. And I mean, hopefully if they lay good foundations for delivering this, even if the Labour government don't stay in long term, the future government is more likely to be able to deliver it if we've laid proper solid foundations, not just been like, we've got this plan, but we probably aren't going to be the ones to deliver it, so let's not bother any further than that. Yeah. Probably being a bit too sceptical.
I think that's completely understandable given the current landscape. Well, I mean, we'll see how Great British Rail shakes out.
I mean, that's kind of ultimately the next step, isn't it? Of seeing whether people have faith in the rail network we're establishing. Yeah. And there's lots of questions to be asked there. We could have a whole other conversation about the future of Great British Railways.
That's for another day.
Yeah, that is for another day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, Northern Powerhouse Rail, it's kind of back. Hopefully.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, what do you think? Let us know. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed this. This is something of an experiment at this point. We're both extremely new to this. So if you liked it, thank you very much for joining us. If you didn't, we're going to fix it.
Promise. Yeah. But yeah, love to hear thoughts and opinions about the rail network or about the podcast, about A to B Global Media.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. Bye.